I'm sure you're shocked, but we have more power and money grabbing from the Big Ten and the SEC as it relates to the college football playoff. But I will say in this case, the Big 12 and the ACC should be running to sign on the dotted line here. They need to just smile, wave, sign on that dotted line. As much as it sucks, I think you got to do it here. So we knew that more playoff expansion was coming. This is no shock to anybody. But now it looks like the expansion, instead of going to 14, which had been what everybody was talking about, right? Which was the 4 auto bids for the Big 10, 4 for the SEC, 2 for the ACC, 2 for the Big 12, 1 G5, and then 1 at large. That was the 4-4-2-2-1-1 model. That is what had been out there and what everybody kind of assumed we were moving to. There was controversy about it because it obviously introduced the 4 automatic bids for the Big 10 and SEC, which people rightfully hate. Now we're just blowing past that apparently to 16. According to Ross Dellinger and Pete Thamel, we got multiple reports about this late in the week. And the report is that the SEC and Big 10 are starting to throw their support behind the idea of a 16-team playoff instead of a 14-team playoff, which the whole point of this entire show tonight has been, look, if the Big 10 and the SEC want it right now, probably what they're going to get. So if that's what they're wanting, get ready for it. So you would ask here, John, well, what is the format? How is it different than what the 14-team format was going to be? I mean, the good news is it does not include like 5 auto bids for the Big 10 and SEC, because I can understand how you'd look at it and say, hey, there's 2 more teams that are going to be added. Wouldn't those just be auto bids for the Big 10 and SEC? They would not. That's probably what they would wind up being anyway, but they would not at least be the auto bids there. You'd keep the same structure, 4 for the SEC, 4 for the Big 10, 2 for the ACC, 2 for the Big 12, 1 for the group of 5, and then you would have 3 at-large selections. Okay. One of those, a lot of years, would probably wind up being Notre Dame. So you'd really be looking at like 2 extra at-larges up for grabs, and that probably becomes Big 10 or SEC teams that would be losers of the end of the year play-in games. Because the other thing Ross Dellinger mentioned is that this idea, this 16-team playoff that has gained a lot of momentum right now, would really like codify this idea that's been thrown out there of, hey, instead of a conference championship game where motivation gets a little bit weird, like for instance, Oregon this year in the Big 10 championship game, like what was the real motivation there? Instead of that, you ditch that and you would have 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5 in the Big 10 and SEC playing on that conference championship weekend. Winner goes to the playoff, automatic bid there. Loser would have to just hope that they get an at-large bid. But that's where I think, for instance, if your 3 loses to your 6, they're probably going to get one of those at-large spots. So, again, another net to get more teams into the playoff, which obviously is better for your league, but it also means more money because you're getting paid each round that you have someone advancing into the playoff. So for the SEC and Big 10, of course, I guess my reaction would be, well, of course, this has picked up steam for them because it's just basically going to guarantee them a 5th team per league into the playoff every single year. More money, more exposure, better for everybody. I think a couple of takeaways here. Look, the 4 auto bids thing, this is happening. The SEC and Big 10 have weathered the storm of public pushback and criticism on what the 4 auto bids mean. Hey, this has turned into an invitational instead of you just earning it. They know all the criticism. They took it the first round this leak. They kind of waited, and they sort of came back at it and pulled back a little bit and then came back, and then it was 14, and now we're coming in with, hey, not just it's 16. We had a space in between where it was, hey, maybe we'll decide who gets how many bids by TV ratings. And then everybody gets outraged at that, and that almost could be just a distraction to where now it's like, oh, by the way, no, we're just going to do 16 and we're going to get our 4 auto bids, and it's fine. They have thrown enough out there at everybody to distract them, get them talking, plus just waited long enough where the news cycle has gone away from this that, I don't know, at this point, can you waste a bunch of time still now for the 4th news story that is leaked about this being upset about 4 auto bids for the Big 10 and SEC? It's hard for me even to when, yeah, man, it's dumb. It's ridiculous. It does turn it more into an invitational. It's such a slimy power and money grab, but like whatever, it is what it is. It has been very apparent to me that this is going to happen for a long time. So I'm just not going to lose a lot of sleep over it at this point. And the other part of it is they've kind of just boxed you in, at least myself as a Big 12 representative here is looking at this like they've kind of got me trapped because I would just go sign this if I were the Big 12. Like, look at what happened this year. Yes, I know it was only a 12-team playoff, but ask yourself, if there were two more at-large spots out there, would BYU have even been really considered? Like, no, it would have been like Alabama and Ole Miss or Miami and Alabama, or, pick two of those three. That's who would have taken the other two spots. It would not have been BYU. So the reason I bring that up is like, hey, if you're going to be given the opportunity to get two teams into this thing, you should probably just take it, because I don't know that there's any world. There are going to be very few scenarios on a year in, year out basis where, at least where things sit right now, you're going to be able to get multiple teams in every single year. So it sucks to like be signing off on something that is really like signing off on admitting that you're a second-class citizen here, and everybody saying, well, look, yeah, you're worth half of what the Power 2 conferences are. This is putting it directly in writing. You are signing off on it, but well, first of all, you don't really have a choice. The Big Ten and SEC are going to basically do what they want. If you really would make a stink and say no, they may just take their ball and do their own thing. But also, this is probably a good deal for you. Based on your current situation and where you're at in the world, this is probably a good deal for you, dude. It is. I just think every single year, if you think about maybe if you've started to win some playoff games in a couple of years, and then it's bigger brands that have built themselves up, if like Arizona State and Utah have made multiple playoffs in a couple of years and won a couple of games there, and then they're the ones that are in the at-large discussion, maybe. But as it stands right now, I think we saw last year pretty crystal clear what that's going to look like for the most part for Big 12 schools. So, yeah, and then it sets up, and part of what this does, it sets up better branding opportunities for Big 12 schools out there. Yes, it is emphatically more difficult for you to win a national championship. Gone are the days of TCU just winning one game against Michigan in the playoff, and then bam, you're right there in the national championship game. You're going to have to win a bunch of these games to get to the title game, which is going to feel damn near impossible. But way more access to the playoff, which means a ton of eyeballs, more publicity, and a better brand building opportunity. If you're in the playoff year after year, that will do a lot of good for your personal brand there. So that opportunity is still out there, and you get double that opportunity for your league if you just sign up for this. So, probably got to just do it. Like it or not, you probably have to just do it.